This is Franchise Trends with Jim Fitzpatrick, exclusively on ASBN.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Franchising lets entrepreneurs start a business by using an already successful model. As you know, if you've been watching me here at ASBN, I love franchises. Joining us now to share his insights into his thriving franchise company is Bryant Amundson, who is the co-founder of Nautical Bowls. This is a fast-growing network of franchises, and we're so excited, Bryant, for you to join us on the show today. Want to learn all about your company and what it has to offer its franchisees. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Sure. So for those people that are not as familiar with your story as we are, tell us about your how you got started and what your franchise is all about.
Well, just very quickly, what Nautical Bowls is, what we are, is we're an acai bowl shop. That's the simplest way to put it. That's what we do. That's all we do. We serve acai bowls. So how we got started was, a couple of kids having a big dream to start a business. And my wife, we're from Minnesota, right?
Okay.
So that's where nautical comes from. Like, what the heck does that mean? Well, we're the land of 10,000 lakes. So we wanted to keep that part of our business. And at the beginning, we didn't have any idea or any dreams of franchising. That's just how many people say franchising found me instead of, I found franchising. So that's
Sure.
kind of how that's kind of part of our thing. But
Sure.
my wife went to school in Southern California, and acai bowl shops are everywhere, kind of
Yes.
like coffee shops. She's like, man, Minnesota doesn't have anything. So that's our business plan. So we opened that first location, and then we did a food truck the next year. So kind of just like very slow growth in that piece. Then the 2 years after that, so 2020, we opened the second location.
Okay.
We moved that first location to another part of the parking lot, which is like, so we opened that second two locations within 2 months of each other.
Okay.
But they're, it's the same location. But then right after that, we met our business partner, who is the founder of Snap Fitness. And, we knew him through a family friend.
Uh-huh.
And then we just connected. And we're just talking about business and how to scale and whatnot. And then,
right. And that business partner has already been down that road with the fitness business and said, hey, we can work our magic here for the acai bowl business.
Yeah. So his track record is, so Snap Fitness grew to X amount of stores, or we say stores, gyms.
Yeah.
And so Lift Brands is the parent company at, 6,000 locations, 28 countries, something crazy like that. So it's like, whoa, having someone like that as a business partner instead of like, oh, I know how to do franchising. You need to have some documents and stuff. Right. So he's like, well, the track record is, here's 3 different brands built at over 1,000 locations, 3 different brands. So it's like, okay,
so you were
different businesses, but yeah.
Were you a little apprehensive at all about bringing in a partner, even though this partner could take this to a national level?
We were apprehensive to franchising because we didn't know what we didn't know, and we weren't going to be the ones to do it unless we had a strategic partner, or we always thought that franchising was potentially part of the model. Yeah. Eventually, whether it was, but no matter what, we're like, we're not going to be the ones. We're not going to do it ourselves. Just from what we've heard. Okay, let's not do that. And then we're having a business partner. It's like, well, I know what to do. I've done this more than once. Sure. So it's like, okay. Yeah, and then just kind of building the team around it. And
sure.
Yeah.
And now how many franchises have you sold and how many are open?
Yeah, so we've awarded over 190 licenses.
My gosh. Wow.
And we've opened over 60 locations. So
that is fantastic. So you got 130 in development?
Yeah. So a lot of the stores type of deals that we do is typically a one, like single. It's like someone's just going to get a single license,
sure,
or they'll do a 3-pack, and that's the most common.
Okay.
So those that are in development are stores that they're opening their first one now, working on opening their first one, or they've already opened one and they have the other 2 or another 3 in the pipeline that they're going to be opening.
Okay, gotcha. So that's very common in franchising. What, from a standpoint, who's the perfect franchisee for you, and then how much does it typically cost to open up one of your franchises?
Yeah. The perfect, if you guys have seen the movie The Founder,
yes,
the Ray Kroc story, the McDonald's story.
Yep.
So
great story.
He had these people, these country club folk, and then they were putting burritos and stuff on the menu and whatnot. And then he's like, and he finds these young couples and these, owner operators. That's the analogy trying to paint. But owner operators, what we found in our system, and now that we have a wider net that we can cast, because we were owner operators, right? So it's like, okay, here's the replication, here's what you have to do. It's, you got to eat, sleep, and breathe it, especially in the restaurant space. Even though we agreed on one thing, we're not going to start a restaurant. That's what my wife and I said. And then here we are with the restaurant concept.
And then
but we took away, so we took away all the things that make a restaurant concept not as attractive. And so just super limited menu, very streamlined operations. You don't need to have a specific cooking experience or any experience cooking, right? Yeah. So it's very, 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 very simple model. And so the best franchisees, and this is similar to most of the players in our space, is owner operators, the ones that are in their community. Yeah. Just being a really good neighbor, not being the mean old man with the yelling at the kids to get off his lawn. Like that's the analogy we give. Be the friendly neighbor and welcome everybody in the doors and be very involved in the community. Right. And as long as there is somebody in the business, like owner operator or an operating partner, like if it's, because I know in franchising, it's like, all right, semi-passive. It's like, there's no such thing as that. So no, it could be semi-passive for you, but you're still working 60 hours a week. So as long as that's semi-passive to you, then totally.
How long before a franchisee will typically see a profit?
Depends on the franchisee. Okay. No. So we only have a handful of locations that have been open for longer than 12 months. The majority of our stores that are open now opened this year. Oh my gosh. So we started this year at 26 locations, and we're over 60. So we're driving food costs down and really squeezing our operating expenses, and that's why we have such a limited menu, and we have young folks that work in our stores, so young labor force. So not that it's like overly expensive or whatnot, but minimum wages going up, but just streamlining the operation, getting our break even down as low as possible, and driving our AUVs up. And like as we become more of a mature brand, those AUVs will be stronger and have more of a straight answer to give. But typically in the restaurant space, you're hoping to break even in the first 24 to 36 months. Yeah. And so our goal is to break that. So
okay. And from a standpoint of geographic locations, are you all over the country? Are you building them in just a certain area, or what does that look like?
Yeah, it's all over the country at this point. The majority of our stores, actually, I shouldn't say majority. We have one market that we have very good, saturation in, and that would be Minnesota. So where we're started, which is very common.
That's fantastic. And what's the end play look like? Where is the system in 5 years from now?
Our big goal that we say, and we say it at every one of our Nautical Bowls universities with our franchisees, is we want to be the Chick-fil-A of acai. So that's our goal. And there's not really a number tied to that. There's not really much, but we just want to be known, it's crazy. They are just crushing everyone in that space, of course, and open 6 days a week. Not that we're doing that. We're open 7 days a week, but it's just insane. So we want to have that level of, franchise, and they're a different franchise concept. We know, but having that name, having a good name, associated with us, and having national exposure, being a household name would be a benefit as well.
Yeah, of course. Are you much further along in this process than when you started 2018 that you thought it would be?
Yeah, we're over double where we ever thought we were going to be in 10, 20 years. Yeah. Right. So our end goal at the beginning was 10 stores in like 7 years, and then changed to 25 stores in 10 years.
Now, there's a lot of people out there in franchising that will commit to, maybe 25 or 50 locations because their deal is investing in franchises, especially new ones like yours. Have you come across that, or are you against that, or where does that stand if somebody says, look, I want the whole Southeast and I'll make a commitment to it?
Yeah. Not that we're against it. It's just not part of our model right here, right now. And not that we're limiting people to only one or two. Chick-fil-A, very different model, but I guess from a brand perspective, that's how, we want to be. I mean, if somebody's going to be number one in the space, we're like, it might as well be us. Let's just do it.
Why not?
And I believe in our product, and I know that we will do the best job in the community for doing what we do, acai bowls, and providing a great place to work. for young high school and college age kids. It's typically who work for us.
Sure.
And it's so much more than just scooping bowls. And we share that with them. If you leave here and you go on to college, or you go on to your next thing, and all you can say is like, I worked at this place and I can make an acai bowl in 30 seconds. It's like, then we've done you a disservice. We want you to learn problem solving skills. And like, we literally tell them like, hey, if we're out of strawberries, like, don't call me. Go get strawberries.
Go get strawberries.
I mean, I'm going to have to, I don't have any in my fridge.
Right.
I mean, unless I do, half a case of strawberries that my kids have already taken bites out of. So
that's right.
I'm not going to be of any help. So
sure,
we give them the responsibility for that. Not because we're like, oh, we're hands off, but we want to teach them.
Now, this is a cold product, right? Is it seasonal in Minnesota? Because it gets pretty cold in Minnesota. Are there people that go, well, maybe I'll have that in the spring or in the summer versus in the middle of January?
Yeah, you're right. So when it's negative 30 outside here in Minnesota,
yeah, you're not necessarily thinking of a ice cold product, right?
No. But what was crazy in the early days, we had a what they call a polar vortex, and it was like negative 50 outside. It was stupid. It wasn't real. It's like, what's going on? And that was one of our busiest days of the winter, which wasn't crazy, but it was still one of our busiest days because they shut school down. And then where did all the kids go? They hung out at Nautical Bowls. So it was like, it's interesting. So it is seasonal, and it totally is. But we're a lifestyle brand too. So like, if you eat, we're like, and this is our market research. Well, we eat this in the winter. There's probably other people like us.
Yes.
That was our market research. And so yeah, we're catching people on their errands, or they're leaving yoga, or their post-workout meal.
Yep.
So if it's part of your lifestyle in the summertime, it's going to be part of your lifestyle in the wintertime.
That's right.
It's not much different, but there's just a lot more foot traffic.
Yes.
When the weather's nicer, and that's just same for like almost all retail. I shouldn't say that, just a bucket, but just like buying patterns. When vitamin D, when the sun's out and you're running around, and the kids are out of school, people they're more active and they're spending more money, and we're a discretionary lunch option, and so we kind of fit in that. So yeah,
that's fantastic. So the company is Nautical Bowls. Check them out online. If you're interested in buying a franchise like this, you got to check these guys out. They're doing it right. They're growing very, very fast. So Bryant, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Very much appreciated. Many of you know my feelings, as I said at the opening of the show, that I'm a huge proponent of franchises. These people have worked out all the kinks. They're bringing you a proven concept. It's much easier because all of the groundwork has already been laid, and all of the trials have already been tried. So I highly recommend it. So check these guys out online. I think you'll like what you see.
Thanks for watching Franchise Trends with Jim Fitzpatrick, exclusively on ASBN.